Hi, I'm Claire Rosso. I am Vice President of Member Learning and Competency for the Association of International Certified Professional Accountants. Welcome to Human Intelligence. If you missed our previous episodes, go to our Facebook page and see them there. And if you'd like to make sure you don't miss our future episodes, please follow us on Facebook. With me today is Lawson Carmichael, our Executive Vice President of People, Strategy, and Innovation. Lawson, we're all about beating the bot. And the World Economic Forum tells us to beat the bot, we must develop those skills that are sort of innately human. And among those skills that we talk about are critical thinking, complex problem solving, creativity. So I'd like to pick your brain today.
Sounds good.
About strategic thinking.
Great.
Tell me what it is, and is it important to accounting and finance professionals?
Well, let's start with the second part first. I think that strategic thinking is fundamentally important to CPAs, to CGMAs, and just about anybody that works in the accounting and finance profession, to be honest with you. And I actually think that it's everybody's job. And when I think about strategy or strategy development, really I think that there are three core things that underline it, that every professional, regardless of whether you're working in the strategy team or you're in the finance organization, that you need to think about, because strategy is everybody's jobs. First of all, strategy is all about choices, right? It's about evaluating multiple options that are viable paths to take your organization forward and how you create value. And I think you do that in three different ways. One, and we continue to read a lot about it today, is the importance of being fact-based. The new words today are really driving it around being data-driven, right? So data analytics, in my opinion, is very different than being a data scientist. Okay. But grounding everything that you do in a fact-based approach. Point number two is I think that you need to be hypothesis-driven. We don't have...
You can be scientists?
A little bit. A little bit. But we don't have the luxury of sort of combing the entire world for what the right possible answer might be, sort of the needle in the haystack analogy. But we have to really go to my third point, which is be collaborative. So bring your fellow leaders on board, get ideas from the different parts of the organization, even from junior level staff. All parts of the organization have great ideas, and develop hypotheses about what might be those viable options. So evaluate them using data, be fact-based and hypothesis-driven, and be collaborative.
And before I ask you a different question I have, that's a great framework. Is it something that takes months? Do you go to the mountaintop, think about it, and then months later come down and execute it? Or is there a sort of element of rapid, agile, fail fast, another popular term in the marketplace?
It's a great question, and the honest answer is, or at least the way that I've always approached strategy development is, and I hate to say this, but it depends. I think that you actually have to be flexible, right? Because there are some decisions that you're trying to make around long-term corporate strategy for where you're going to take the organization that, to be honest, when you're making 10, 15, 30, 50, $100 million types of decisions for your organization, the honest answer is you probably need to be more fact-based, more deliberate in terms of the analysis. But I think that gone at the same time are, let me develop a 5-year strategy around where things are going to go. You might understand the end destination, but you have to be able to weave your way through that, which kind of gets to your MVP type of approach. But then again, I also believe that there are projects that frequently come onto my team's plate, for example, where the implications aren't that big, right? There are important things that you need to still follow that approach of being fact-based, hypothesis-driven, and collaborative, but you can do them in a 2, a 6, and 8 week sprint and kind of work through it versus a 6 to 12 month long corporate strategy project.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so one of the things you said that I really, really like, and I think is really important and integral to this idea of beating the bot, is that strategy is actually everybody's business. Yeah. It's not just the strategies team's business or senior leadership's business, it's everybody.
Absolutely.
So what do professionals do, regardless of the level in the organization, to deepen their ability to think strategically?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's a great question. I mean, at least where I started as a professional and what I talk to many people about is 3 simple things: read, learn, do. And what I mean by that is, first, I believe that the world is rapidly changing, and the best thing that you can do is you can find different periodicals that you like, that pertain to you or maybe a subject matter, and you read them on a frequent basis. So whether that's the Wall Street Journal, Harvard Business Review, Fast Company, whatever interests you, be aware of the world that's going on around you. Because if in fact you don't understand what's changing in that macro environment, you basically become irrelevant, right? Okay. So that's the very first thing. And I think that that can be on your own time. Like I open up my iPad in the morning, I open up Flipboard, and I kind of go through those different periodicals. I think the second point around learn is you got to get your hands a little bit dirty, right? And so what opportunities and what investments are you going to make, aside from the over the cup of coffee where you're reading in the morning, to really learn? For example, I think that we, through the association, have a wealth of resources on the CGMA store and other places around strategic thinking, critical thinking, negotiation, change management, all those things that really go into what I would call as a integrated strategic thinking skill set. And so I think that learn is critically important. And then the honest answer is, I think you got to do a little bit, right? And I think that, the most adept organizations that I've seen, or most innovative, bring in different people from throughout the organization to be involved in that strategy development process. And so whether you're understanding the financials and you're part of that team, you're a technologist, you're a communications professional, whatever, get involved. Maybe it's that 2-week project that I just talked about versus the longer 6-month project. But get involved on all 3 of those different types of levels. Read, learn, do.
Read, learn, do. Okay, don't listen to me just for half a second. So that read thing, you can read. Reading is great. I love reading, but you could watch. You could listen. Some people are a little older than most of us. Wow. Anyhow, so read, learn, do. One more tip that I think would be really important, and I want it from both the sort of entry-level professional that has ideas, and also from what senior leadership should be thinking. So if you're entry-level, it might be hard to bring your idea forward. So what do you recommend to that person? And on the other end, what do you recommend that leaders do to encourage their team members to bring forward ideas?
Yeah, I think that that's a great question. And as I spend time with professionals across all levels, I think that having the comfort and the permission, so to speak, to bring forward ideas is one that challenges. I think that some of the most innovative organizations that I've seen and I've experienced have different mechanisms. Some are formal, some are honestly informal, and I think both really work and depend on it. So, I think that the easiest thing to do is be willing to sit down, almost a skip level type of lunch or whatever, with that manager that might be 2 roles away from you, so to speak, and talk to them, use them as a mentor, as a sounding board to get feedback on your ideas. And then many organizations frequently have other types of mechanisms, whether it's off of their intranet or types of contests that they sponsor within their organization to bring those ideas up. With regard to your second question around what should leaders do, I actually think that a leader's job is actually mostly to listen, right? And to be comfortable in that and to recognize that you don't have all the right ideas or all the great ideas. I mean, ultimately you need to make a decision to guide the organization on where it's going to go, but you need to listen. And so just being comfortable, sitting back, little tips. Like when I sit in a meeting, frequently I try and get the youngest leveled person in the room to actually speak first, right? Yeah. Because then they're not afraid or inhibited by everybody else's organization or everybody else sitting around the table and sort of say, oh yeah, that idea, I like that one. Instead, they kind of bring their ideas forward, and that really proves to be a innovative type of environment.
I like that. That's good. Well, thank you, Lawson. Thanks for being here. This was fantastic. Thank you for joining us for the Human Intelligence series. And remember, if you haven't followed us on Facebook yet, please do so you don't miss our future episodes. And if you have ideas about topics you'd like for us to cover, add it to the comments, and we'll take a look and try to address them in the future. Thanks. Thank you. Happy Halloween.